IPL action tonight, Hyderabad have a tough task at home as David Warner's team take on a very strong Chennai Super Kings. Chennai lost their last match to Kolkata, but the table toppers still go into this match as favourites against Hyderabad. Chennai's strength has been their openers who've been in red-hot form right through the tournament. The bowling department will though definitely miss Ravichandran Ashwin, and this will be another opportunity for young players to step up. Bowling though remains Hyderabad's strength, and it will be interesting to see how they tackle one of the strongest batting lineups in the IPL. Hyderabad's batting though on the other hand has been over-dependent on captain David Warner and opener Shikhar Dhawan. The team will hope that the middle order along with Ravi Bopara can give some strength in the middle to the team. Well, let's go straight across to our guest to discuss this match. Nikhil, if we actually talk about this one, Hyderabad, like I said earlier as well, have been really dependent on their openers. If David Warner hasn't performed or say if Shikhar Dhawan hasn't delivered, it's been very difficult for Hyderabad to actually put on runs on the board.
True. Unfortunately, the other overseas player in Bopara, he's somebody who's done a reasonable job with the ball, but with the bat, he really hasn't set the tournament on fire. They depend very, very heavily on Shikhar Dhawan and, of course, David Warner. When he gets those 90s, their score gets about 170, 180, chasing 150, 160. He plays a pivotal role. He doesn't get runs. They do tend to struggle a bit. So, until unless they bowl the opposition out with their strength lying in their bowling, it gets difficult for them to go out there and win games. So they need their overseas players to fire.
Dada, that seems to be a problem with Chennai as well. McCullum and Smith have given the team really good starts, and it's been hardly that one of the two hasn't fired. But in matches that they haven't, it has been difficult for Chennai to score runs as well.
Yeah, middle order has been a bit of an issue for both the teams, but it's a bit more for the Sunrisers than for the Chennai Super Kings. I think Chennai Super Kings has been very consistent. The problem for Chennai Super Kings is the bowling more than the batting. Even if the way they struggled against Kolkata the other game, they still managed to get on to 170. But without Ravichandran Ashwin, I think their bowling is a bit of a worry. I think Sunrisers have a lot more to worry about in the middle order. As you said, it's David Warner, whatever games they have won, it's David Warner who has taken them through. But it's the middle order who has struggled. And I'm sure Tom Moody and VVS Lakshman knows about it. And they'll have to find a way to solve it.
But Dada, also if we look at Chennai, you have been saying that you would want Dhoni to bat up the order. He seems to have not been able to fire with the bat almost in all the matches in the tournament thus far.
Yeah, obviously that's a problem area, and that's what Dhoni has chosen to do, because when you play 20 over cricket and you get to bat in the 13th, 14th or at times even in the 17th, 18th over, obviously your scope of getting runs minimizes, because if you don't get to play enough balls, how will you score runs? I think that's a decision Dhoni has to make, whether he wants to do that or whether he wants to continue. I don't see much of changes with the Chennai Super Kings because they're right up at the top of the table. They might have lost to Kolkata Knight Riders in the previous game, but with the experience of Dhoni and some of the players, they know that when you play T20 cricket, you won't win every time. There are a few games you will lose, but they have won most of it. So from my point of view, Chennai will continue with the way they have played, and Dhoni will be batting lower down the order.
Boria, that's a point that Dada also made out there, that Chennai have stuck to the same side all through the tournament, but they obviously are without Ravichandran Ashwin. They missed him definitely in the last game. He's a big loss for them. They'll be hoping that he gets well and comes back soon.
Absolutely. I mean, even in the previous game against Kolkata at home, it was Ravichandran Ashwin who turned the tide. When Robin Uthappa was going great guns, 39 of 17, Ravi Ashwin comes and picks up Uthappa's wicket and then 2 overs for 3 runs before he got injured. He's a big cog in that Chennai wheel. And Chennai, you say they've not changed in this season. They've not changed in the last 6 years. It's more or less the same side. The core of the side remains the same, which is why they've done so well. But outside of Chennai, they've done brilliantly at Chepauk. But outside of Chennai, they can still be beaten.
Dada, in fact, that is another point out there. Hyderabad are playing at home, but their first match in Hyderabad as well. And Chennai, like Boria said, haven't really performed well outside Chennai. With the bowling that Hyderabad has, Trent Bolt has performed really well. You feel that they can probably check the Chennai batting and not let them score a lot?
I hope so. I hope to do, but it'll be hard to keep the Chennai batting quiet because they're a good batting lineup. And as much as Chennai doesn't play well away from Chennai, Hyderabad doesn't have a great record at home as well. If you see their record at the Uppal Stadium, they haven't won too many games in the IPL. So from that point of view, it's a danger area for Hyderabad as well. I see too many changes happening with the Hyderabad side. They keep on shifting their players, keep rotating their players, and I think one thing they need to learn from the Chennai Super Kings is to try and be consistent. I know Chennai Super Kings has been consistent with the team over the last 6 or 7 years. They've managed to retain most of the players over a long period of time, which some of the other teams haven't. More so Sunrisers Hyderabad, because they're a new team, a new franchise, so they've had the issues of getting in the best players. So that disadvantage you have in the IPL, and the Hyderabad Sunrisers are paying for it.
You know, Nikhil, like we've been talking, that Chennai have stuck to the same group of players even if they've not performed. What do you have to say about Ravindra Jadeja's performance in the tournament thus far? He hasn't really gotten a lot of chance to bat, but his bowling also in a few matches was spectacular, but not so much. He's not been consistent, let's just say that.
Well, absolutely. And he's got to be living up to the reputation of, an all-rounder. Whatever opportunities that he's got to be getting runs with the bat. I don't see him go out there and tonk the ball, get boundaries when they need it. When it comes to bowling, Radhika, I think he's bowling too quick. And that's why on certain surfaces, even when some of the other finger spinners were turning the ball, Jadeja was not turning the ball. So I guess, he's been too quick through the air. That's why the ball's skidding onto the bat. And he's leaked a few runs as well. And this is going to be a different ball game when you've got a partner on the other end with somebody like an Ashwin who puts a lot of pressure. From the other end, now you have to play the senior partner's role, because if Jadeja is being the senior partner, you've got a youngster, inexperienced, maybe Negi plays or any other spinner. So we'll have to see how he handles that pressure.
In fact, Boria, that is what I was going to ask you. We've been talking about Indians performing in the IPL, in the younger lot coming up. Pawan Negi did a good job in the last match. Would you persist with him?
Yeah, you don't give one player one game and then drop him. He's done reasonably well to merit another game. If Ravi Ashwin was fit, it's a different matter. But this whole chopping and changing business, and Mahendra Singh Dhoni is one person who will persist with a particular player. give him a few opportunities, and that's the order of the day, because that's how confidence is built. Ask Saurav this question. While the Indians have performed, Huda, Surya Kumar Yadav, Karun Nair, etc., has Saurav spotted an all-rounder? Because that is the problem area for India. Ravi Jadeja, inconsistent. Akshar Patel, inconsistent. Irfan Pathan, not in the scheme of things. Have you spotted Saurav, an all-rounder who can actually make it into the Indian team, come in the T20 World Cup next year?
I think as an all-rounder, you have to define his role, what exactly you want him to be. I think Ravindra Jadeja is caught up in between being a left-arm spinner and being a batsman. So I think you look at all-rounders in world cricket. Jack Callis, his premier role was with the bat. He was told that you have to get your place in the side as a batsman first, and then you have to bowl. Freddie Flintoff, premier role was a bowler. Richard Headley, premier role was a bowler. Kapil Dev, premier role was a bowler. I think somebody needs to go up to Jadeja and say, listen, do we need runs from you at number 7, or do we need you to concentrate more on his bowling? That's a clear-cut direction which Ravindra Jadeja or any all-rounder needs to go through. Even when Irfan Pathan came in, he was a very, very good bowler. He swung the ball, but then obviously he put a lot of time to his batting, and then he lost his bowling as well. So I think that's an area which the coaches and the team management will have to work out and clear and definitely give a role to Ravindra Jadeja, what is exactly wanted of him.
Dada, in fact, talking about all-rounders, that is something that Hyderabad also probably need from their middle order. Have you been, say, impressed by the way Ravi Bopara and Moses Henriquez have played, or would you definitely want them to contribute much more with the bat and ball?
I don't think they've stood up and performed. I think Moses Henriquez has got talent. I think he's someone who needs a little bit of time. If you see him bat for his side in Australia, the T20 side, he bats up the order at number 3. So I think that's one area the Sunrisers could actually look at. I think Moses Henriquez is more of a batsman who can bowl, and I don't think it's the other way around. So the Sunrisers will have to use him properly. But they need some performance from Ravi Bopara. Ravi Bopara is a batsman who can bowl medium pace, but his batting has not worked. So as I said, the Sunrisers have chopped and changed, and they have found very difficult to get the right combination.
So Boria, for you, Chennai go into this match as favourites, even though they have not performed, say, well outside Chennai till now in the IPL?
Again, it's an individual versus team concept. Hyderabad will be Trent Bolt, David Warner, Shikhar Dhawan versus the Chennai team. And David Warner, in the kind of form that he is, red hot form, he can just win the match. And the way he's batting, he's number 2 in that runs chart. You can't predict in T20. Yes, Chennai has the edge, but as I said, without Ravichandran Ashwin, I'll say it's 50-50.
Nikhil, what about you?
Well, I'd back the Chennai side. Better balanced side, combination's good. Every individual's role's been identified and they've done a fairly good job. They might have had a few blips here and there, but to start off, I'd back the Chennai side.
So Chennai go in as favourites in that match, but let us now actually take a look at last night's results, where Mumbai beat Rajasthan by 8 runs in a thrilling encounter at the Wankhede Stadium. But that match, the player of the day for us undoubtedly was Ambati Rayudu. He scored 53 runs, not out of just 27 deliveries. Great performance by the player out there. Let's now look at what the over of the day for us was. It was bowled by Mitchell McClenaghan. He gave away 8 runs in the 18th over of the match and also ended up taking 2 wickets. Now, as far as the points tally is concerned, not many changes out there. Chennai, though, will hope to stay on top with a win that will keep them comfortably out there. They're followed by Rajasthan, and Kolkata is at the 3rd place. Only a day to go for the fight of the century. Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao face off at a weigh-in in Las Vegas. Manny Pacquiao weighed in 1 pound lighter than American Floyd Mayweather. Pacquiao was welcomed by deafening cheers from his supporters on the eve of the highly anticipated welterweight showdown. Meanwhile, in Pacquiao's home country, Philippines, a cake artist unveiled a life-sized cake of their hero, while other bakeries are also offering limited edition cakes to celebrate the upcoming fight in Las Vegas. The bout is scheduled to air in India on Sunday morning at 8 o'clock, where the viewers can watch the fight of the century free of cost. Well, the NBA's got some Indian flavour with Sim Bhullar. The Canadian became the first player of Indian origin to feature in the NBA when he played for the Sacramento Kings. Our correspondent Rasesh Mandani caught up with the 7 foot 5 inches tall Bhullar in Mumbai. Listen in what he had to say.
You may be tired of being introduced in that fashion, but if this is the man that I'm supposed to interview, what else can I call Sim Bhullar but a big man? But the big man has made it big at the NPA. Sim, welcome to Headlines Today and welcome to India.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You found it warm and nice in India, not just talking about the heat, but even otherwise.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, I got a little chance to enjoy the city and see a little bit of the beach, so it's amazing out here.
All right, so it's been about a month since the time you got that opportunity.
Yeah.
When you heard of that 10-day draft opportunity, what was the first, reaction? Who did you share it with? And was it, a sense of fulfillment the moment you were waiting for?
Yeah, I was excited. I mean, my family was excited, my friends, and I definitely gave a phone call to my mom, my dad, and I just thanked them for everything they did for me. And I knew it was my chance to prove that I belong in the NBA, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity.
Those 16 seconds, the first opportunity that you got, almost never got chance for the nerves to come in, isn't it? I mean, you were there and so, but it was worth it. It's something that you'll always remember.
Yeah, I'll always remember that moment. I'm just being on the court and saying that you were in the NBA game, and especially playing against my best friend Andrew Wiggins on the Minnesota Timberwolves. It was a great feeling for us to be on the court together, and it was a great thing for me to be there.
And say your first basket, you wouldn't have known if it would happen, but, share your emotions, run us through how it went and how it felt.
Yeah, I mean, I got great teammates, so as soon as I stepped on the court, they were looking for me and they tried giving me the ball, and I got a good chance to score, and I had a nice little hook shot, and it felt great just to see the ball go in the basket, and it was a great feeling.
And just the locker room atmosphere, how did it find it? Did it feel different? Did you always sense that I'm part of NBA, a little bit more conscious? How did the teammates take it?
My teammates were just happy for me to be there. I mean, it was an honor, it was a blessing, and not a lot of guys can say to play in the NBA. And I'm just happy I got that chance.
And but the 10-day experience, you think you sort of encourage India to look up and drive towards being an NBA player one day? Does that help? Does it work that way?
Yeah, I mean, I believe it does. I mean, just Indian kids seeing an Indian player in the NBA and just a guy that has the same background as them, grew up the same way, just seeing how far they've made it, and hopefully that inspired a couple of kids, and even 1 or 2 kids, hopefully I can see in the NBA in the next couple of years.
Sam, but with your size, is there a thing that you cannot do that someone like me can perhaps off the court?
I mean, it's hard to find clothes. I can give you that, shoes and stuff like that. But definitely through doors, you got to remember to do that. I hit my head a couple of times already, so it's been kind of difficult. So I mean, there's a couple of good things too about it.
What's your shoe size like?
22.
22.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about India. You've been there before, and what are the places that you've seen?
I've been pretty much northern India, and Amritsar and Punjab in that area. My parents are from up there, so that's the only really part of India that I've been able to see. And I mean, it's fun to be out here and to be this far away from home and just to see what basketball's like out here. I mean, this is the first time I've seen a basketball court in India.
One request that I have, maybe you can take a few free throws for us. You are as American, as Canadian, as Indian as you are.
Yeah.
So just to put you under a bit of a spot, this is putting the American hat on and then you try and get a free throw going. Thanks for being a sportsman and great. Good to have you. Thank you.
Well, that is all that we have in this edition of Sports Today. But you do set your alarm clocks for 8 o'clock in the morning tomorrow as the fight of the century takes place. Thanks a lot for watching.